to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Grace. Make sure you definitely subscribe down below. So I'm finally doing an updated how I edit my Instagram photos for you guys, because I was doing a Q&A on my Instagram stories last night and I was getting so many questions about how I edit like my photos and everything. So I was like, maybe I should make an updated video. I probably haven't made one in like 2 years, so it's definitely time to make an updated video because my editing style has totally shifted from like a few years ago. I'm just gonna be walking you guys through step by step. I have thought about releasing presets before and like charging like $5 or $8 or something, but it is so confusing, and I've had a few girls reach out to me to offer to help, like show me how to do it and everything. But honestly, I'd rather just show you guys how I do it because I feel like this is just beneficial for everyone and then you aren't paying for it. So if you could just give the video a thumbs up and subscribe down below, leave a comment, and make sure you're following me on my Instagram for the support, and I will love you forever. So first off, let me just show you guys my Instagram feed. So if you aren't familiar with my Instagram, I have a very like beachy, fun, colorful feed going on here. So that's just my Instagram. So like I said, make sure you follow me over there. This is how I'm going to be showing you like how I edit my photos and my editing style. So if you aren't really interested in this video could still be useful for you, because I'll show you some more in depth on how I use Lightroom, which even if you like don't want to edit your pictures exactly like mine, it might give you some insights on how to use Lightroom to edit how you want. I do pay for Lightroom. I think it's $10 a month, but you don't have to. There is a free version. I just pay for the version with unlimited storage or whatever because I have so many pictures and I like being able to easily access them in that. But there is a free version if you download it. When I edit my photos, I kind of just enhance the colors and brighten them a little bit. I don't do anything too crazy. I like very minimal edits. I don't Photoshop or anything like that. I used to try so hard to do like an Aspen Ovard, like orange, pink, and white theme. That just doesn't work for me. So I've decided for myself, doing a just colorful like blue beachy vibe I think is a lot better. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna stop the screen recording and talk to you guys about aesthetic on Instagram, because so many people want to make their Instagram cohesive and aesthetic. So I think one of the biggest tips for you if you're trying to build your Instagram or you just want your feed to look super cute is, one, post filler photos. Filler photos can be so cute and just add so much. Filler photos, I normally just shut off the likes. Normally mine will typically get like 600, 700, 800 likes, so not very many likes for me with my following, but I don't really care about that. For me, I'm posting them because they make my profile look cuter. So when brands or when people are deciding if they want to follow you and they're looking at your account and they see that you have like cute, aesthetic, eye-pleasing Instagram feed, they're gonna want to follow you. Next, I think having a niche. My feed is very beachy, bright, and fashion-based. If you live in New York City, maybe your vibe is like very like city vibes, fashion. Keeping everything similar because that's why people are gonna follow you. People are gonna follow you for specific reasons. So like for me, people are following me because I have a bright, fashion, beachy feed, like I said. So I really think just finding your niche totally will help you just have a more cohesive feed to begin with. And filler photos, those are some of my favorites. I also really do like shutting off likes. Personally, even if my picture is doing like so well, I like keeping the likes off. Now I have been experimenting with turning likes on to see if they do better than like a normal post, but so far it's pretty typical for if my likes are on and off. So I just like not looking at it, and I don't know, being able to just post what I want and not be like, oh my god, this post didn't do good, it only got 1,500 likes, like instead of focusing on the content. Because if I'm happy with my content and I think I'm doing good and have good quality content, then that's all that matters. So don't get caught up in your likes or comments or whatever. Those are kind of my tips for having an aesthetically pleasing Instagram. You don't have to have a totally white-walled Instagram. That used to be so trendy, like white and warm tones, but not anymore. Do what you want, people. Okay, so let's get into editing this photo. Here's the photo without any filters or anything. Normally, one tip I try and do is shoot in pretty good lighting. Either I like direct sunlight or I like when the photo is kind of shadowed. I don't know, it's not like shadowed, like dark shadowed, but it's shadowed to where everything's bright, if that makes sense. So I'll show you an example of that after. But this photo is pretty direct in the sunlight. Like as you can see, it's pretty bright already. So there is a light setting on Lightroom that you can play with if you want to. So for example, if this photo like had a bunch of shadows, you could turn the shadows up, but normally I will not touch this section. I'm gonna start in the color tab, and then if I need to go back into the light setting, I'll go back into that. Why am I like out of breath? I'm like talking so much. We're gonna start with the color tab. I like bringing the temperature up to a more warm tone. Like I said, my feed is very bright and warm, and so I bring it normally up to 10, and then I'm gonna bring the tint up on the like purpley side to 5. Now that's just gonna kind of enhance your blues, purples, pinks, because we did bring the temperature up. I don't like it to be too yellow, so I like to bring that tint up just a tad. Now we're gonna click that little color wheel. So if you see the mix button, we're gonna click that, and I'm gonna start by going in with the blues. So there is 2 blue tabs here. There's like a more aqua blue, and then there's like a blue blue. So I normally do the blue tab, and I bring down the hue just a tad. I don't like it to look super like fake like this. This is kind of what I'm talking about when I say fake. So normally I'll just bring it up just a tad like that, and then I'll bring the saturation, or I brought that down, and then I'll bring the saturation up a tad. So I do like that color of blue. I'm not a fan when it's super fake looking. The luminance is something that changes the brightness. So if the sky is looking a little like darker, I might bring the luminance up just a tad to brighten it. But with this picture, I don't really think I need to, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Now we're gonna go into the next colors. So with the color wheel, depending if your picture only has mostly like greens and pinks, you don't really need to touch a lot of these other colors, but because this picture has like so many colors, it's a good example to show you guys, and I'm going to need to be messing with all the colors. So next I'm going to go into the greens. Now greens are something that can help with either water, or if your water's like kind of green, you can make it, bringing it down and make it more blue looking. What I'm going to start by doing is bring up the greens. Typically I will bring up the greens almost all the way or all the way, and then I'll bring down the saturation of the greens to kind of like make it a more subtle green, because if you bring up the hue of the greens, it's gonna make it like a super bright fake looking green. So by bringing down the saturation, it makes it kind of a muted green, but it's still like bright, which I personally like. So if you go on my page, you'll see a lot of like, if I'm in plants or something, like let me show you this photo. Like this photo, they're more of a muted kind of green, so that's typically what I go for. Okay, now we're going to go into the oranges. You could totally go down the color scale if you want, but this is just how I do it, so I'm going to show you. Now with oranges, I don't typically touch the hue, because if you do that, it's going to make your body super weird, because your skin tone is naturally more of an orange tone. I'm going to start by going in with the luminance and bringing that down. What I like doing this for is it'll make you look tanner. So this is the tan hack if you want to make yourself look tanner. Now obviously like that is way too much, so I normally will just bring it down just like a tad like that, and then I'm going to sometimes I'll bring the saturation up, but if you bring it up, sometimes it looks orange, so it kind of depends on the lighting, but typically I bring it down to maybe like half of what I brought the luminance down to. So that just kind of gives you a nice little tanned look in your photos, especially for me because I'm always in a bikini. Now we're gonna go into yellows. Since I have blonde hair, bringing down yellows really makes it not look like yellow, because sometimes your hair can look yellow in pictures. Also with sand, it'll make the sand look whiter. So if you want a more yellow tone, then you don't need to really touch them, or you could bring it up a little bit. But I typically like to just bring it down a tad, not too much, because I don't want to get rid of all the color. Okay, now we're gonna go into reds, or bring down the hue of the reds kind of a lot. Typically I'll do around 20 and just leave it like that, and that's all I do. Now for this picture, we don't really need to adjust pinks or purples much. Maybe I'll brighten the pinks just a tad on my swimsuit to make them pop a little bit, but that's pretty much it. There's no purples really in this photo, so it doesn't matter. Now I am gonna go into the light section because this still looks like a tad dark to me. So I'm gonna bring up the shadows a little bit. Do I like that? Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the shadows a little bit, and I'm gonna bring down the highlights a little bit. But that is pretty much how our photo is gonna look. So here's the before, here's the after. Again, just brightened and more popping in my opinion. So that is kind of a like direct sunlight photo. Now I'm gonna show you guys how I would edit a sunset picture. So here I have a picture of me, Jamie, and Brooke. I'm gonna reset the settings on this real quick. So as you can see, it is just a little dark because obviously it's at sunset, so it's bound to be darker, but we're just gonna brighten it up a little bit. So first I'm gonna go in with shadows right away and just brighten that up because it's gonna need it. And then, like I said, I'm gonna bring down the highlights. This is just gonna accentuate the sky and make it pop more. Now I'm gonna go into color, do the same thing with temperature, bring it up to 10, bring the tint up just a tad. And with this one, because the sky is like more orange and not super colorful, we're gonna start with the blues, turn them up a little bit. Again, don't want it to look too fake. Now there is some purple in the sky in this photo, so I'm gonna bring it up and see if that does, that doesn't do much. Okay, never mind, we're not doing the purples. Sometimes you'll see it doesn't do anything. And then I'm going to go into the oranges and I'm going to bring down the luminance just a tad. Now, because there's orange in the sky, if we bring down the luminance too much, it's gonna look kind of gross. So I will do just a tad of that, and then I'm actually gonna bring up the saturation. Again, we don't want to do it too much, but just enough to make the sky pop a little bit without making all of us look orange is the goal. Again, this picture is different because it's sunset, the sky's orange and yellow. We're gonna bring up the yellows, and with this picture there's not much green, but I am just going to bring up the greens hue and down on the saturation because it's gonna help the water just look bluer. So that is this photo. You could totally bring up the reds if you want to make the swimsuits pop a little bit. Here we have before, after, super quick, super easy. You can actually click copy settings, do this, and then go to the next picture and you can paste the settings onto that. So like that's gonna look really weird on this picture because it's different lighting, but if you had a bunch in the same pose, lighting, everything, you could do that and it's super helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more photo just to show you guys so you have the hang of it. So here's the after, here's the before, after. Now this photo, the water already looked so pretty, so it's gonna be very minimal, enhancing, just making everything like bluer and pop more. Going into the colors, gonna bring up the temperature a tad. Now because the water looks so blue, I don't want to bring up the temperature too much to make it look like gross. So we'll start with like around 9, and if I need to bring it down more, up more, we'll do that. Gonna go into the blues, bring up or down the hue, up the saturation a tad. Now we're gonna go into the aqua blues because the water is so light. Just kind of play with that and see what way I like it. I think I'm gonna bring it that way and bring the saturation up, giving it the water that really pretty just pop. So there we have the water. Now I'm gonna go into the purples. My swimsuit is purple, but in this photo, it's kind of like a lighter purple, so I wanna make the swimsuit pop a little bit. So I'm just gonna bring up the saturation and up the hue a little bit to make it kind of a more vibrant purple color, which I just think is prettier. So doing that, and then I'm gonna bring down the yellows a tad just to make the sand look a little less orange. And now we're gonna make ourselves tanner. So bringing down the orange luminance, and let's see, you can bring it down pretty far in this photo, and I'm actually gonna bring up the saturation a little bit, not to make myself look orange, but just to make it look like I'm glowing because this is in direct sunlight, so I feel like I can do that. So that's kind of this photo, and then with this, it's like not, if the horizon isn't straight in the photo, it bugs me so much, so we're just gonna straighten that out just a tad. That's not straight. Okay, there we go. That's our photo. So here's your before, here's your after. Super easy. I hope that helped you guys out. If you have any other questions, comment them down below in the comments, but I think I've covered pretty much everything. So that's how I edit my photos. I hope that helped you, even if you're just trying to use Lightroom, to kind of see the tools you should use, because then you can play with it from there and do the colors you want to make pop or whatever. Make sure you guys go follow me on my Instagram if you want to see more of my content. I would love to have you over there. I hope this video helps you guys out in any type of way it can. Good luck. If you guys use any of my Lightroom editing tips, tag me in your photos. I'll go like and I'll comment on them. But that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you guys don't forget, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe down below if you are new here. And that's going to be it for today's video. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. I got